Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. And as I look across this audience, I'm reminded of the power that's in this room today, this afternoon. And quite frankly, I'm reminded of the power of women. And I think you all deserve to give yourselves. And as I look back on my career, and when I grew up in Southwest Louisiana, I would not be here were it not for some very significant and powerful women in my life. And of course, I'll start with my mom, who did not have a high school education, but read to my sister and I. My sister reminded me that the one newspaper that we started reading was Prince Valiant, cartoons. And then, of course, growing up Catholic, we also had to go through all the catechism and everything else, but reading was very important to a woman in my life who did not have a formal high school education. Very powerful woman. The other one is the woman with whom I lived, and that's my grandmother, who worked 3 jobs every day, but who wanted to learn to read. And she would bring home the New Orleans Times-Picayune newspaper, Emmett, Miss Moses. She would, from her day job, we would read the Bible at night. We would sing hymns. Although I was Catholic, she was Methodist. And I tell everyone that growing up with my grandmother, who was very active in our church, that I'm an official underground member of the Eastern Star. And of course, my sister, who was a year younger than I, she and I competed in school every day. And we attended a one-room school with 5 grades with a very strong teacher. And although it was Mr. Thomas played a very important role in our lives in getting us started educationally. And then as I progressed in my professional career, there are other women who I'm in contact with occasionally who played a very significant role in my professional life. And several of those women are managing large cities across the United States. For example, the city of El Paso, Texas, is the city manager is Joyce Wilson, who started out with me as my secretary, who went on to earn a degree at Harvard University and who is now the city manager of El Paso, Texas. And Cheryl Scully, who started with me as a CETA employee in Kalamazoo and became the deputy city manager, later the city manager of Kalamazoo, and who is now the city manager of San Antonio, Texas. And Regina Williams, who was my chief of staff, who is now the city manager of Norfolk, Virginia. But there are others, many more, are out there in America. And of course, the United States Treasurer, Rosie Rios, worked for me. We worked together. She was the first person to at least convince me to give her a bonus to come to work for me. She's the treasurer of the United States of America, Rosie Rios. And so, you know, when we think about what we've done, men, we need to look behind us, because in every instance there is a powerful woman who propels us forward. And then we'll do that. So I want to thank the First Lady, Yvette Bain. I want to thank the committee, the co-chairs, Ms. Early, Ms. Lewis, Ms. Moulton, for this invitation to join you at your first luncheon with such an impressive gathering of our region's leadership. And thank you also, Mrs. Bing, for your commitment to the Detroit Public Schools Reading Corps. You know, the Reading Corps will be successful, I believe, in large measure because we have the top leadership of the city of Detroit, the First Lady of our city. And again, thank you for being in the trenches with us. not only is the First Lady's involvement so important and significant, because unlike me and many members of my team, she is a Detroiter and she can relate more specifically to the needs of our community and its children through her own example and having lived here and having attended Detroit public schools. But last Saturday at Renaissance High School, we made our announcement regarding a new partnership with this program. And all of the important issues that a First Lady can choose to champion, I can't think of any more significant issue than championing the issue of helping our children learn to read, and by bringing the power of your office to this program and the influence that you bring. And so we're very pleased. You know, Frederick Douglass has done, if you've read Frederick Douglass, you'll know, he was, in addition to being someone who thought and was very thoughtful about human rights, but he was also someone who was very thoughtful about education. And I'm reminded of a quote from Frederick Douglass, and we included it as part of our reading corps, when he stated, "Teach a person to read, they will forever be free." Reading is just so important when we teach a person to read. And as I told the volunteers gathered last Saturday, if it had been practical for me to do so, I would have asked the more than 2,500 individuals in the gymnasium on Saturday to stand up in their places and be sworn in, and we would officially or unofficially, we would have sworn those individuals in as members of the Reading Corps volunteers, but not just as volunteers, because as with the case with the First Lady, all of those persons who volunteer truly are champions for the children of Detroit. And the Reading Corps is all about champions, not for the city of Detroit, but for the kids, but for the children of Detroit. And I can tell you that the city of Detroit, our children, the Detroit public schools, we need thousands of champions for kids. And so as we go about our work in the Detroit public schools, we continue to ask ourselves as we make decisions, are the decisions that we're making, are those decisions good for kids? And quite frankly, when we cannot answer those questions, and with those with whom we deal and have to work with cannot answer those questions, then for us, it's time to leave Detroit. And for those who cannot answer those questions positively, those aren't the persons with whom we engage, because we cannot draw energy from anyone who do not believe in their hearts, souls, and in their minds that what they do every day should be good for kids within the Detroit public schools. So why are we here? Our goal for the city of Detroit and for the Detroit public schools is that by 2015, and giving ourselves some time, can't do this thing overnight. Someone reminded me at dinner last night that you have to eat an elephant one bite at a time. And since March of last year, since I've been here, I'm trying to eat the whole elephant one bite at a time. So we fixed the Detroit public schools. But our goal is that by 2015, every child in the Detroit public school will be reading at grade level by the time those children promote into third grade. We want to give, that's the threshold, that by the time a child reaches third grade and within the Detroit public schools, he or she will be reading at grade level or above. And our students need your help to make it happen. Our teachers need your help to make it happen, because the teachers are the professionals in those classrooms that we are there to support. And they're the ones with all of the skills, and so we're there to support them. And as I stated at a First Lady Saturday, when I saw the reading instructions that document, to me it was very intimidating.